Jokes, texting, political jokes. I mean, Iranians love political jokes. And every day, you're sitting in your office with your jokes.
In Tehran, the demonstrators are getting their views and footage out of the country via mobile phones and the internet. Twitter, YouTube, Facebook and blogging sites have been used by both sides to reach supporters and spread their views. Saeed Barzan is an analyst with BBC Monitoring and Persian TV. He told me more about how the technology is being used.
Jokes, texting, political jokes. I mean, Iranians love political jokes. And every day, you're sitting in your office and, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 jokes and you don't know where they come from, because everybody's circulating them. Political jokes about this candidate, political jokes about that candidate, about the president, or about where the demonstrations are going to be held. You receive a text message, you don't know who it is from, and in fact, there have been accusations that some candidates have been investing massively in producing text messages through mobile phones to get to the ordinary person on the street.
What would you say the role of mobile communications and the internet and so on has been in Iran's election and its aftermath? Are both sides trying to manipulate?
Well, both sides, absolutely. I mean, pitched battles, really. In the past days, they've been hacking each other, state news agency down, the site of the supreme leader down, government ministries down, opposition websites down. So, they're really going for each other, going for the throat. The government has taken down some telephone communication systems. Texting has been interrupted by government organizations, and they've slowed down the internet, jamming foreign broadcasts and filtering a number of websites.
What would you say the limits then are of the use of mobile phones and of the internet?
Well, mobile phones are much more important because they're popular in Iran. Everybody's got a mobile phone. In the past 4 or 5 years, millions have been sold. And but internet is more limited to the middle classes, to the younger people, to the people who sit and learn how to use computers, and of course older generation, they just can't be bothered, or people in provinces, less educated people, they don't have the access, they don't have the money to buy computers. So internet is more limited, but mobile phones massive, because you're on the street, your friend phones you and say, listen, there's a demonstration in such and such a square. It takes you 10 minutes to get there.
BBC's Saeed Barzan. Well, tonight, Mir Hossein Mousavi used his campaign website to announce he'd called on the Iranian authorities to release all those arrested in recent days. But it was clear from the outset that Iran's government had also recognised the need to engage with new technology, particularly as a way to capture the youth vote in a country where a majority of the population is under 30. So President Ahmadinejad had a presence on Facebook, a site which had previously been blocked. Bhavan Shah is Professor of Journalism, Mass Communication and Political Science at the University of Wisconsin. I asked him if some may now think moves like that backfired.
I suspect that there are segments of the existing regime that believe that that's the case. I think certainly social media has opened up pathways of sharing information and organizing activities, including, I'm sure, some of the protest activities. I think they've also certainly felt that elements like Twitter and the efforts outside of Iran to keep Twitter access available have certainly complicated how they wanted to manage this election.
Although they clearly realised they could use it and they tried to use it, but perhaps the mobile phone in particular, which is widely available throughout the world, gives opportunities to people that were unanticipated.
Well, I think that's true, and I think we've seen that also, say, for example, in the example of South Korea, where mobile computing and mobile phones were a quite important factor in mobilizing people in terms of election outcomes and election turnout. So mobile computing is certainly one of the aspects of this. I think governments realize they need to have activity and presence, especially in terms of developing campaigns. I don't think they're all very savvy about how to do it. The know-how of how to do it effectively is what's missing.
Do you think blocking websites can ever work?
Again, I think there's so many workarounds. I think certainly, the Chinese government, for example, has been much more effective at that in terms of creating firewalls and closing off access and certainly getting larger search engines like Google to agree to block certain kinds of content as well. It's increasingly difficult in the social media environment when you talk about things like Twitter and Facebook. The lateral channels of communication, the channels that are not from the major news organizations or from dominant websites, but rather from citizen to citizen, make that possibility so much more difficult. People can paste articles into emails and send them, and then they go viral. People can give people access to Twitter feeds, even if the Iranian government's blocking the creation of new lines. This speaks to the fact that the internet as a medium itself has this democratizing potential because, the power to create suddenly has drifted to pretty much anybody.
So if you're a dissenter, you have far more powerful tools to express your views than ever before.
Not only express your views, and I think that's certainly true, but I think also to find like-minded individuals, to organize yourselves, and to mobilize and to take action. So,
could you bring down a government?
Well, I think we'll have to wait and see what's happened here. I think it certainly played a role in that process, whether this is the, Iranian Revolution 30 years later, version 2.0, if you will be something we'll have to see. I think it does have the potential to create large-scale social movements and activism. There's been some wonderful work done around the protest movements that galvanized against the war in Iraq, for example, that took on a global form, were the largest protests ever organized across the world, that were very, very driven and connected to these internet-based technologies.
Dhavan Shah. Unemployment is at a...
But then, fringe benefits are great.